Hi guys, welcome back to yet another live webinar with Newton School. Today we are going to host a very interesting person who started her journey from being an electrical engineer to now working with an MNC as an IT analyst. So before we invite Kratika Chaudhary to this call, I want to see a few people talk to us in the live chat about what they want to become, a software developer or a front-end developer. Tell us, what is your inclination? Do you want to become a front-end developer? I want to see some answers on the live chat. We'll be starting very shortly once we have more viewers joined in on this webinar. Who here wants to become a front-end developer? Just say hi to me on the live chat. I see viewers increasing. Yes. We're going to be joined by Kratika, who works with Eli Lilly and Company. She's going to shortly join us. She's an IT analyst, and she started off her from being an electrical engineer to becoming an IT analyst. It's going to be a very insightful talk. I am just waiting for a few people to join in, and then we'll start very shortly. Kratika also is super excited to join us today. Hi, rule breaker. I am. Of course, you're excited about this talk today because you want to become a front-end developer. Uh, Kudos to that. We're waiting for a few people to join in. We'll start shortly invite Kratika to this call now. Awesome. So, without much further ado, let's invite Kratika and let's get started into understanding what you need to do to become a front-end developer and kickstart your tech career.
Okay. Hello, guys. I'm not sure.
Hey,
Everyone can hear
Kratika.
me?
Yes, we
Hi,
can
okay.
hear.
Thank you for having me over here. I'm really very excited to talk to people and young minds over here. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
All our students and our viewers are also very excited. Over to you, Kratika.
Thank you. Hi, guys. So I am Kratika. I'm working. So I Gopi gave a very almost the introduction of me. So I am working with the Eli Lilly and Company. It is based out of Indianapolis, US, and but I work in Bangalore. So that's I'm a web dev. I work with two streams over there. So one is the front end engineer itself, and other is the DevOps team. So I work with the two team in my organization. Also, I'm an open source contributor, so you can see like I do a lot of workshops and contribute to projects, open source projects. So currently I'm the part of Real Dev Squad, so they do amazing stuff. You can actually check it out and join the group, and it's great place to learn if you want to learn the web development itself. I won't take much time. I will just quickly share my screen. So I hope everyone can see the screen. So today the talk is more about getting into front end. We have seen like I have seen people, they are more excited into getting back end, and like people don't have the proper knowledge like what front end is all about, and they sometimes they feel that it's something that will not pay you good, or it's something that that is really difficult, or it's very easy that you should not actually waste your time on that. So I will be today, it's this talk would be most of a myth buster for you people. And also I prepared a small section where I will be giving you some interview tips, like which you can use for any sort of interview, be it a front end or a backend developer or full stack developer. So since I have worked with front end itself from past 2 years, I think I can actually guide you people towards that. So the first thing that I would say, so it is like you should actually always have a mentor with you if possible. Do have a mentor. So in Newton School there are so many mentors that that work with childrens, and help them to get a good job, and to clear their basics and everything. So the best thing that you can actually get have is to have a mentor. The reason being, see, obviously we can study, we can do a lot of stuff, but if there's someone to guide you, that will actually, it's the result multiplies. So like if you do a self study, it's 1x, and if you get someone with experience, or with a proper set of a knowledge and a skill set, the product is just multiplied. It gets 2x, it gets 3x. So one thing that you can actually look forward is to have a mentor that can guide just simple guidance, not it's not the spoon feeding that we look forward. It's more about just guiding you on the right track, that okay, this is the thing that I will be going forward with. So let's start with the front end itself. So the first slide that I have is a myth buster, as I told you. So first of all, I've seen people, they think that front end is easy. So okay, that is not, trust me. I have prepared a next slide that we will be seeing that the whole career, the whole track that involves to get you as a front end engineer. It's not easy. Front end developer get paid less. Okay, let's face the ultimate truth. You are doing job to get paid. So no, front end developer does not get paid less. So and also there's thing that there are no front end jobs, or there are very less number of front end jobs as compared to back end jobs. No, this is also a myth. There are jobs, but the point is that you should have a proper skill set, and also you should have like clear your basics and everything. So if you have that right, right profile, I would say the right profile or a portfolio, then you can actually get placed with any company that you want. uh, then the third thing is that you since you are not working with backend, you don't have to be worried about optimization and performance. This is also a myth. As a web developer, you are, since you will be you are more responsible about performance testing and optimization. The reason being, your website, the which you will be coding, is sent to different users that will be on different machines, that will be on different networks. So there are a lot of constraint that you have to keep in mind while building a website. So like I feel that's more, I won't do a comparison, but it's really tough to see like what customer base you people will be serving, and what, like for example, what if my website is on a slow 3G network. I'm not I would have to look into that, what things I am serving, how like the field should be quite good, and user should stick to my application and not go away. So you have to actually worry about optimization and performance. So fourth, it's very prevalent all these days that I see people identify themselves with frameworks, that okay, he is an Angular developer, he is a React developer, he is a Vue developer. um, Please, so that is also not good. You should just not know that framework. So like just you it's study React, you think that you can survive in industry. That no, it will hit you hard, it will come and haunt you. So just it happens with jQuery, that there were people who were just relying on jQuery, and finally all these frameworks and library came into picture, and now jQuery is just out of question. So now what about those people? So either they are doing jobs that are getting, they are getting paid less. So you should always make sure that okay, if you're going with framework or library is necessary, but just make sure that the basics of the language are very clear to you. So finally, if you're going with a MERN stack or mean stack, the ultimate base or the foundation is JavaScript. So just make sure if you're going with these stack, the JavaScript is you know very well polished. That is the basic agenda. So then the fifth point is, you do not need problem solving skills, you do not need DSA. No, even in a front end, even if you're you are a web developer, you are coding front end, so the problem solving skills are always there. I will give you a very just a very small example that I was working upon. So we there was a module that I was writing. It was more when I use more of searching. So I used an algorithm called KMP algorithm, that is a string matching algorithm. So you have to use algorithm, and I was doing the project in React itself. So it's you should have the knowledge of DSA at least. So I'm not saying a competitive programming, you should not, like it's okay if you know CP and everything, but at least you should know the basic data structures and how you can manipulate them and how you can use them to your advantage. So problem solving skill is must, even if you're not coding on on your system itself. It's more about problem solving. So, for example, if you see a problem, it's okay that you don't solve it, just sure that do a simple dry run, how you will approach the problem. So it's not even related to DSA or something. It's more about how, if you encounter a problem, how you will be going to solve it. Then the last point that I would make is backend should be treated as black box. Since you are a front-end developer, that does not mean that you should not know anything about backend and treat it as a black box, that okay, whatever comes out from this, I will just consume it. No, you should at least know the basics. The very reason, if you know something, so that you can actually look into, and maybe you can suggest further optimization and you can interact with system. But if you treat it as a black box, whatever someone is sending, you don't have any idea, you don't know how to optimize it, how what you can actually do with all the stuff that that has been sending to you. So you should never treat backend as a black box. Know at least the basics, know how the server works, how endpoints are exposed, how the flow is maintained, your authentication, like the authentication has been done, and then you are authorizing the user with something. So you should know all this. So backend should never be treated as a black box. Okay, next we have path for front end. It might look like a long list. I have tried to just put everything on that I feel as a front end developer, and this is with respect to the job. If you're doing, if finally you will be going to do a job, so it's with respect to job that this is what you will be needing. So HTML, it's like the very basic. Also, I will give you a disclaimer. So if I'm looking at this list, and I will tell you, like, till this part, if you focus, it will hardly take you around 4 to 5 months to do all this and get a good job. So HTML, CSS. So HTML is a markup language. That is what is actually served, and web browser just parses it and shows it on your screen. Then we have CSS. Then we have JavaScript. So JavaScript is more about when you want your application to make it interactive, you want user to interact with your applications. CSS is more about styling the look and feel of your application, how ultimately the color is this, and this is what CSS is. Then Git is very necessary. Like I have seen public, never take it very lightly. At least the basics of Git should be very clear for you, or for every one of you. The reason being, in the organization, everyone maintains so we have the source control system. So Git is the common one that we use. Also, if you know the basics, you can actually maintain your own portfolio that you will be finally going in the interviews, and you can show it. So Git and GitHub. So for the students who are students over here and are still in colleges, learn Git. The basics include, you should know how to push, how to pull, how to add, how to commit, how to check the status, like these things, and how to set the origin, everything. So Git and GitHub, and these, like, if you just give yourself half an hour to an hour, you will be completed with this Git and GitHub. So you have to just spend around 30 minutes to get acquainted yourself with Git. Then comes advanced JS. So after completing the JavaScript basics, you can look into advanced JS concepts that are there. So the proxies are there, iterators and generators are there, so you can look into and how you can use them. Then we have web browser basics. So web browser basic involves, like, you should know how the browser is, when you send all this bundle and everything, how browser finally shows something to you, and how a browser makes requests. So you should know the flow, that when you hit the URL, it gets converted to an IP, and then it finally gets to the server. So you should know about DNS and everything. Host name, what is a host name, what is a domain. So you should be aware of all these. Like, these are very basics. You should know what an IP address is, what a domain is, what a top level domain is. So you should be knowing all this. Dev tool, since you will be as a developer, you should be very, very good with your tools. Because see, we are developers. Like, I would quote it in this way. We are developers and not some it's more about not about how, just give me a second. So it's more about making our work simple. So delegate something to the other like to other tools or something that can be easily done. So you don't have to, if you're doing a lot of, so it's more about doing smart work rather than hard work. So that will be the line. So no hard work, only smart work. So dev tool actually helps you to do that smart work. So if you know your tools very well, so that actually helps you, debugging the code and checking like what style is getting applied, performance testing. So like in the Chrome dev tools, if you go and just do F and F12, so you will just see that the dev tools have evolved over time, and like they can do like almost you can use Chrome dev tools as your IDE also. So like they are that powerful. You have console, you can see the DOM representation, you can see the styling, you can check the performance over there, do the profiling, you can have that memory management. Like there are a lot of tools. You can see the network request, how the network requests are getting made, you can see all those graphs and everything. So dev tools are very advanced now, and you should actually take time to learn them, because that is very important. Because ultimately when you will be going for a job, you will be spending most time writing code and debugging, or I would say reading other code and then debugging. So it will be mix of both. You will be reading someone's other code and debugging and then making changes. So it will be more on that line. So you should be very good with dev tools. Then comes web APIs. So web APIs are like, what if you want to use a audio tag, a video tag. So there are various APIs that are already ready made, and you have to just know like these exist, and you can use them. Then know about HTTP protocol. So like what is this protocol all about? So like it's an application protocol, it is based on TCP. So you should know the nitties and gritties. Like the 1.1 is the HTTP protocol, and then we have the secure version called HTTPS. Okay, so you should know the differences. What is like now, if you see every website is on HTTPS. The reason being it's more secure, it prevents middle and like the man in middle attack. So it's very secure. So you should know like it also allows number of connections. So it's not a single connection every time. You can have multiple connections open. So you have to look into that, at least know the knowledge, so that it will finally the whole picture should make sense to you, that okay, if I'm using something, why exactly. It should not be a black box. If someone says that okay, I will be using HTTPS, so you should know okay, why are you planning to use HTTPS, and why not HTTP. So at least you should have, even though maybe you will not even configure, what if like you're not even, your DevOps team will take care of hosting a website. So maybe you are not even planning to, like you will not be the decision maker that what protocol you will be going to use, but at least you can give the suggestion that I would say that please go with HTTPS over HTTP, because it's more secure, it gives you this. So you should at least know what the things that for your domain you are having, and how you can use them to their best capacity. Then set up your IDE. So VS Code is open source, you can download it for free. And then practice. So it's always the proverb goes, practice makes man perfect, and this is very true. Whatever theory you have learned, it's very important that you should cover the basics, or like you should also do the practical knowledge. Finally, because in the job you will be doing the coding part. Okay, it's so theory plus the coding part actually is a perfect combination. Only theory does not even make sense. It's not that you will be going to appear for examination and where you will be doing long question and answer. It's more that you have will be, so whatever you're studying should have practical applications also. So just make sure that you practice to a large extent. Then learn a library and framework. So now after learning JavaScript, after learning all these basics, so till the point that I told you, setting up the ID and practice, this before React, before any framework, this was how the websites were made. And now also, if you're planning to do a very small project, you can use it. Okay, that is very fine. But about like when we are able to when we want to write big applications, or we have large customer base, so the library and frameworks actually serve as a great purpose. The reason being, they take out the complexities, and abstract them, and we can just easily use them. So then after learning JavaScript, only go to learn React, Vue, or Angular, whatever library or framework you are planning to use. uh, these three are like popular one. React is like booming, like it's the graph is just exponential rise. So React is the most popular one that I feel, but yes, Angular is also used and Vue is also nice. So you pick the choice, what library of framework that you want to get involved with. Then I said, as I said, know the tools. So as a developer you should know the tools. So it's more about like, as a plumber, he should be very well aware of the tools. He should know what a hammer is for it, he should know what is a screwdriver used for. So you should be, as a developer you should also know your tools, like what tools you have and how can you put them into use. So for example, we have tools like ESLint, so it's a linter. And then we have Webpack, it's a module bundler. Then we have Babel. So Babel is something, it's a transpiler. So what it does, the new features that we see in JavaScript that that are not natively supported, it finally transpiles them into that old plain JavaScript. Then we have Sass and Less. Sass and Less are preprocessor for CSS. So these are like more like you can have variable names, you can do mixins and everything in Sass and Less. Like you can do very complicated stuff with CSS preprocessor itself. So like you can do amazing stuff like animations and everything. uh, After knowing the tools, learn state management. So finally your application will be having a state. Okay, so how you divide your state, like how I would like to divide my state, it's two part. The model part, I would say, the part is something that I have, for example, product list. Okay, and then the view part would be how I'm displaying it to the user. So I have a product list, but now I have given a button that says sorted in ascending order. So the view state of my application would be how he sees it. So the list would be in ascending order. So this is how I divide my application. So it's two part, it's a model part, the journal data that I have, and the view part, what my user is actually seeing. So learn statement management. So Redux is very easy to learn and it's a great tool. And Flux, so these are the tools that you can use for state management. Then finally, create websites, create your portfolios. Like that is the important thing. So if you are learning all this and not implementing practical applications, uh, how would I know that you have learned something? So it's more about show me the code rather than just talking about it. Show me how you can write the code, show me how you will actually prepare the application rather than just talking about it. So I would believe that if you show me some, even though you have just made 2 to 3 good websites, I would say, then I'm very okay. At least I know that if I give you some task, you will be able to complete it. And I see that, okay, this is how you write code, and okay, this is, this code looks okay to me. Maybe I will suggest you few changes that you can make. And that is how, so the proof should always be there. So that is why you should always create the websites, create your own portfolios, because that is a must. Then after doing all this, learn about performance and optimization, learn about web security, learn about accessibility. Like there are a lot of things that you can actually learn. So this is just a task for front end. So it might, now you must feel that okay, it's not that easy that people say. It takes a lot of work, trust me, lot of work, and lot of going through different documents, articles and everything to gather the knowledge that you will be having. So now you have to also think about web security, performance and optimization. Then you have to think about, okay, how you will be the authentication, authorization for that user. How are you planning to do it? How are you planning to cache something, or like, so these are like, there are a lot of things that you can do afterwards. So these are more on advanced steps. So like when you are very okay, very okay and good with all this, like you can actually write proper code and create websites, then learn about all this and check. So take a small steps always. I would always say this, don't try to take a big leap, because when you try to take small steps, they feel like accomplishment, and you are pushed forward and motivated. So don't take a big leap. Like for example, you're learning HTML and just go, you take a big leap and you just are on performance and optimization and skipping the other things. So never do this. This is why I have kept in a bullet point. So it should be, the track should be 1 2 3. So this is how you should go. So till the point of create websites, if you just focus and give your full dedication to it, it will hardly take you 4 to 5 months to cover all this and be ready for a good job. Then I have some interview tips that I wanted to discuss. So these interview tips are in journal as a software engineer itself. These are not even related to front end or back end. It's more about engineering with the software engineer. So companies today have like lot of rounds. It depends which company you are interviewing for. So like I would give you the standard procedure. You send the application. The application is where you send your resume. Then there is a screening round. So in a screening round, they ask you few questions, and they if you answer them, so they select you on basis of that. And then there is an initial call or technical discussion, so where they will be asking you more in-depth questions. Then the fourth round is a coding round where they will be asking you to code some application. So it varies for front end and back end. So front end, you are given wireframes, like the screen how it should look, and you have to code it in the language that in the framework, or like sometimes it's only HTML, CSS, and JS. Sometimes they also give you choice to write in React or something. So it's this is the round. So and depending on experience also it changes. So sometimes you will also see like it is for 4+ experience, I think, system design rounds also. So there are like how you will design a end-to-end system, like what technology you are planning to use and how you will set up the whole flow. But that's like 4+ experience, you will be having these additional round also. Now for the coding round, I have make sure that code is readable. So don't try to be that cool kid, do like you write everything in a single line. Don't. Make sure that you even like your code should be very readable. Like if I go and read your code, I don't have to put much efforts, and it should come naturally. You should speak naturally to me. So just make sure, don't do cool tricks and tips and tricks that you learned somewhere and you just do it in interview. No, interview is not the best place to accomplish all this. Learn those tips and tricks, do it somewhere else. But no, interview is not is not there to show your coolness. I would must say that. So always write readable code. So like if you think that if else use rather than using a if else, I will just loop and do a big blocks of ternary operator. No, ternary operator, if it's in a single line, you can fit your code into a single line. That does not mean okay you just extend a line to around 200 to 50 characters. If it can fit in a very single line, then use a ternary operator. But if you need that, okay, it will finally become the code that will be getting executed on the condition will become a block of code, please use if else. So don't no coolness, like it does not make you cool. It's more about I would say not a stupid, but yes, that's not encouraged. So comment your code. Why commenting your code? So don't comment everything. Like you should not comment how you are solving a problem. It should be more about not how you have solved the problem, why. So it's more about answering the why, and not how. So like how I can see from the code, okay, you are running the for loop and printing the numbers, but like why are you doing this? So it should answer, this is the golden rule, that your comment should explain why rather than how is why your code is there. So if I since I'm like I can also I will read your code, so I can understand why you are doing something, like how you are doing something. But why you are doing, like why you have made this choice, why you have made this choice to go with this very specific algorithm, mention that. Then do not make problem or architecture over complicated. So if you have, like for example, if I have given a task as a full stack developer to develop a whole website, just a simple website, and I have to just perform on the back end, I have to just perform CURD operation, okay, just create so the basic operations that I have to perform, create, read, update, and post, okay. So I have to do these operations. So then don't make it over complicated. You write 4 to 5 of middlewares. It's a very basic application, and finally it's a small POC. So you can actually write your backend in just 2 to 3 files. So just don't make anything over complicated. if the problem is simple, please keep it simple. Don't, now it's a very simple application that I gave you to code, okay, but instead of coding it, now you are planning, okay, now I can also use Redis to it, okay, I will cache it. But why? Don't make it over complicated. If it does not fits the use case, never use uh, technologies, just for fun sake. That's a second thing that we always tend to do. So for example, if I have to just make a blog post, just a blog post, showing some content to the user, uh, I would not use React. I would simple go with HTML, CSS, and JS if necessary. So so that's it. Like, why I would add, further kilobytes or MBs to my bundle? Because it's a simple site. Like, I don't want to be that user interactive. I just wanted to some display some information. So don't overcomplicate any problem. If the problem is given, always try to break into pieces, rather than, growing it's like, rather than solving the problem from the higher overview, like from the bird view, that is like just seeing the problem and start solving it. I would always prefer to break it into pieces. For example, in front end case only, how, so if you just see like, okay, this is what I need to display, but rather than just start coding, break into pieces. Okay, so I wanted to display an image with a title and a button, and some more a comment input. Okay, so this is what I wanted to display. Okay, I see. Then what I will do, I will break this into four components. Okay, image is one thing, title might go with image, so that is a one component. Then other would be a comment thing, so okay, the comment will be the other component. The button, the add or delete button, these are the buttons, so that is my four components over here. So always try to break your problems into smaller pieces, because in that way it will be very easy for you to code a application or any code. So maybe what if it's a DSA problem? If you see a DSA problem also, just make sure that you break your DSA problem also into pieces. Like, write functions that do a single task, and then after that you call other function that do another task. So break your problems into smaller pieces. So finally, because it becomes manageable to do the to do all the stuff, also to debug that stuff and to test the stuff. So you get three advantage if you break your application into smaller pieces. Third is, do not rely heavily on libraries. That means, like, for you must have heard about Lodash. So like Lodash is a very like, it's a pretty heavy library, and it gives you a lot of functions. So don't rely heavily on libraries, because sometimes in interview they don't they do not allow you to use external libraries. So for example, if you are using debounce or throttle from your Lodash library, you should actually also know how to implement in pure JavaScript. So just make, so for example, if I don't, if I just you have to use debounce, maybe why would I just do add an extra dependency and add extra KBs, to my application code? I will just write a simple debounce function that I know. So never heavily depend upon libraries. So I told you, for a screening round, so that's like was the first round. So always prepare the basics of HTML, like what are the semantic elements, what is new, what is accessibility, how you can how can you achieve that. CSS, basic questions of CSS, like um, difference between inline and block element, then and the different position values that we can have. So prepare, these are the basics. And for JS, it would be like difference between let constant var, then what is hoisting, what is this, like a simple definition. So what is this in JavaScript? So you should know about all these very basic questions. So if we, in the coding round, if you have time, write unit test cases. Like this is the brownie point. So if you get, if you like, you are given 2 hours to do something, code that whole application, and if you still have time, so write unit test cases. So practice writing code with and without a computer. The reason I have given you a both, because sometimes like today, currently we all have these virtual interviews, so it's with computer, we write code with computer. But like earlier it was, we were given the it was more of a whiteboard approach. So like we were given a notebook or a pen or a whiteboard to explain the approach and everything. So you should know how to write a code with and without a computer. So you should be very well versed with that. Then go over journal sample problems. So whatever company you are interviewing for, whatever position that you are planning to interview for, just make sure that you prepare the journal sample question at least. For example, if you're preparing for or going to appear for a React developer job, okay, or like, so React, so you should know like why we have props, what is prop, what is state, like what is JSX, like you should know all these basics. Then the golden rule, um so okay, I missed something. So it was ask your friend to test you. So so it's, it's more about helping others also. Say, so like a single person, I said, like if you work in a team, your efforts get multiplied. So if you ask your friend, so for example, if I write code, and I see it, to me it looks very perfect, but some other I see it, like if some other people see it, they might find mistakes that I have overlooked it. So it's very so it's like best if you can have some person to ask questions, because everyone has a different understanding of each and everything. So it's better that you can actually collab with your friend, and do some sort of pair programming. I always encourage that if possible, do pair programming, because that helps it helps you create an interview, because you are thinking, okay, this is the problem that I am getting, and this is how I will be going to solve it. So ask your friends to test you. Then the golden rule is ask questions. So whenever you are in an interview, just make sure, you know uh, whatever you are thinking, just make sure you are speaking out loud, that at least the interviewer should get to know what the approach is. These help in two ways. First of all, if you're missing some point, interviewer might you know correct you. Or second thing, that also where the interview gets to know your thinking process, what are you exactly thinking, and on what line. So as a human, everyone is very different, and we try to solve a problem on different terms. That means, if for a problem A, my approach is something, and obviously your approach will be very different. So uh, interview gets to check your that thought process also, like how are you planning to approach the problem. So always ask question, speak out loud, like whatever you are thinking, like it might sound silly to you, plus just, but I would suggest that please speak and ask. Always make the clarification before doing any coding part. Then this is a slide, let's face the truth. So it's more about how the what questions that you will be getting, uh, you will be asked when you appear for the interviews. Okay, the first question, what do you do currently? So what are some projects that you have worked on recently? So for a college graduate, you should have actually a good portfolio. That's why in the career path it was mentioned that you should actually create websites. So if you create something, if you have if your code base is there on GitHub, you can actually answer this question very easily, that okay, this is the few projects that I've worked upon, these are my personal projects I've worked upon, and you can showcase these to the interviewer. Then the third question is, what are you looking for in your next role? So the do also, like, don't give that stupid answer of okay, I'm looking for money. They know ultimately they will be going to pay you money, so don't give that answer. So what are you looking for your next role? So always when you apply for the job, read the company profile, what they are working for, read the job description. That very big job description is given so that you can actually know if you fit, if you are fit, if you're fit for that very particular job or the position that they are having the opening for. So if you're applying, that means you're agreeing to be on that line, that means that role suits you, so you should now discuss about that. So the fourth question is, why do you want to work for the dash represent any company? For example, why do you want to work for Google? Why do you want to work for IBM? Like you should have the proper reasons, like why to, because obviously they are getting so many candidates, and this can be a filtering round. So if you don't have a proper answer, like I have been always asked this question, so how I tackle it, I always go to the company website, go and see what they are doing, like go and see which project they are doing, what they have been into, what their missions are. So every companies have these things, like they have their missions defined. Key, we are working. So for Lily, it's more about working towards human, like joining science and human disease, everything. So it's more about their mission is that. So just make sure that you read along these lines and see if that suits you, if their mission actually fits in your line. So always do this, look into the project they have done. So because finally you will be having rounds, that managerial rounds and everything, where you can talk about, okay, I looked into this project of yours which you did, and I find it pretty good. So like they can help then, they also get interested that, okay, so this is the guy or girl who is interested in our work, and they will start talking about it. And maybe what if you have questions, so they are like more interested now to answer you. So always keep that ready. Like don't apply, just don't write a script. It's more, just you write a script and just randomly apply to any job. Build your skill set and then apply to job. It should be on this line. It's not like you are applying for a job and parallelly you are building your skill set. Build a skill set and then apply for the jobs which you think actually, are in line with your skill set, and like whatever you prefer to do. So don't just do a select all thing and just select every job you see. No, because in that you're also wasting your time. You're wasting your capacity. Like you can actually have utilized your that time that you will be just giving some useless interview that you don't even want to. So instead of doing that, go and read something, do a small mini project. So just make sure that you don't do this. Then what is, so like this question was like how, like the time, it's more about the time slot. Like maybe the company is having 4 rounds, so they will be asking you that when are you available for the next round. So it's a generic question. You can say, okay, I will be available, I can be there between tomorrow between 4 to 5. So it's very normal question. But the takeaway from here would be, you should know these two questions. What are some projects that you have worked on recently? This is this is the golden question over here, and you should have a very good answer for this. And the very good answer for this is, build your own portfolio, build your own projects, host them, show to the other peoples that, okay, this is what I am building. Then uh second most important would be, why do you want to work for, or like over here, why do you want to work? So these are the two main questions that people's, I feel sometimes is are not comfortable answering this, because the reason being, you are not doing the proper research. Always do the proper research for the company that you are planning to appear for. So then after every interview there, like you will always see that they ask you like, uh, any questions for me. So now these are the questions that you can ask. It's a KBC, you have been asked question, now you can also ask questions, more of truth and dare round now. So this questions is, the first question is, when you do an initial round, so how many steps are in the interview process, how long does it generally take? That is very normal question, because every company has a different process for interviewing. So you can ask like, okay, there are 4 rounds, because some companies actually have, they give before the coding round or something, they give you like for front end role, I will tell you, they give you wireframes, and they give you like time. Sometime they ask you to, like they will give you some time, or they will ask you to code sometime, and you are asked to code that screen, like and then submit the assignment whenever, like what the time has been given. But some company does not do that. So then they are like having, what they do, they have this technical discussion, then they have a normal coding, the interactive coding round. So it depends. what steps. So you must be very well aware of the steps, because sometimes what if you are lined up with interviews with 2 3 companies, and maybe you don't want to spend maybe 4 to 5 or 6 hours just coding their screens or the wireframes they have given you. So because sometimes company just give you 4 to 5 screens, and they want you to code the whole thing, the whole application. And sometimes I have actually denied at many times ki why would I code a whole application for someone. Like they have given me screens, and I don't have that time that I will actually code that whole application. So it's your call. Then how big is your engineering team? Okay, so it's more on the terms of that which team you are planning to work, and like how many members are there, what are they. So then which team would I be interviewing for? So like there can be different teams. So in an organization there are like we have different teams to which work on different aspects. So currently I work with a research team that deals with the research data and everything for Lily. So it depends which team you're interviewing for. So because when sometimes there are internal teams, so the internal teams are more about that the application that they are making is just for their own inside the organization itself, and it is not exposed for public use. So like this is the case for me. The application that I am working, it's a research application, and it is to be used only via research scientist and the data scientists that we have in our organization. So you should know that what is the culture like. So obviously you should know the culture of the team, like okay, how they have this code review process, like they have monthly hackathons. You should know about the culture also. Then like who are your competitors, so you can talk about this if you feel like. Then what sort of projects would I work upon? Okay, so this is also a very important question. So the projects that you will be going to work upon also decides the interest, that if you're willing to go for that company or not. What if I say that you will be working on an application that is just making just where it takes input from Excel sheet, and we are just doing some sort of analytics. Like it should actually, so are you planning to do that? So you should be well aware like what sort of projects that you would work upon. You should be aware of the tracks that are available. So like for example, if someday you want to switch track, if you want to just switch the teams that you are in, like can you easily do that? Because you should be well aware of the tech stack that other teams are also using. And that's like finally try to ask, like if you can get the hint, like what type of technical questions will be. So like the type of technique, the style and type over here, I mean, like they planning to focus more into JavaScript, or are they just planning to just touch a few parts of JavaScript and move to React? So if you can get the hint, that is good. So these are the questions that you can ask. I would always encourage that you should ask the questions. You should keep that conversation going on. uh, like don't ask stupid, like the question like what is the pay, like what the pay I will be getting, what will be the my shift timing. Okay, so these are the questions that you can actually discuss with with the HR and everything. So the hiring team, like these technical managers, they are not responsible for giving you pay your pay and everything. So to them, ask this relevant question for the role, like the role, the tech stack and everything. With the HR you can discuss your salary and everything if you're going to that round. Okay, so I am done. Now we are open to the questions.
Thank you so much, Kratika. This was super insightful. And my first question to you is, this is a question that we are often asked as to how much time should a student invest when they're trying to become software developers. But today, in today's case, let's talk about front-end developers. Is there a difference in the time of investment of preparation for either of these positions?
No, I would no, there's no difference. So the only thing that changes is the technology. So like for backend we have different set of technology, for front end we have different set of technology. The first and foremost thing that you should, if you're looking for a front end engineer, Get good with problem solving. Second, don't rely on, like, there are various resources out there. There are YouTube channels, like I see, like, it's more of, now we get thousand resources that we can refer to. But I would always suggest you to go with the standard resources, like that give you the proper information. Because sometimes people might understand something very wrong, and then that is propagated. It's like a Chinese whisperer thing that is propagated all along the line, and everyone now have the just not the proper understanding. So for me, like, if you're going for a front end developer or a web development role, MDN, it's free, no charges. So it's just free, just go and search. You, everything you read on MDN, I feel, is like pretty legit. It's like verified and everything. So don't refer from, like, I don't refer from W3 school. Sometimes I feel that they are like, whatever I have studied, that will go to waste if I just refer to W3 school documentation. So I don't, I'm not shaming them. It's like I don't feel to refer them. For me, it's more about MDN. If I'm facing any problem, I will just go and open the MDN documentation and go and read about it. So for you also, if you don't want to invest in, don't buy other courses. I would never encourage, to buy the courses that are out there. Use MDN, get a mentor. So the mentor part remains constant, and the resources for me is a MDN. So if you have these two resources, just 5 months, if you're in college, just focus 5 months and you will be out prepared, good and well polished for a job out there.
Awesome. So you talk about how important mentors are, and you previously also said that you know at Newton School we do have a lot of
Yes.
mentors. Can you tell us how your journey with someone that you might have worked with who acted as a
Yes.
mentor to you? How was that?
It's very interesting. Thank you for, like, it's now walking down to the memory lane. So when I started, I was completely from a very different background. I was doing programming and assembly and embedded C. Then I joined my first job. So there I got the role for web development, and I was not knowing anything, like no JavaScript. I was aware of HTML, CSS because I have done that in the school, but I was not aware of a JavaScript, React, anything. But I had a mentor. He was working with my team itself, and he pushed me. Actually, he pushed me, like, he used to tell me these topics, and I used to make sure that I read them, because I was just highly inspired, because I used to see him, just doing the work and helping others. So I was just really inspired. So I used to make sure, even after my office hours used to get over, I used to stay at office itself, and then just study the stuff that, okay, this is what. So he used to assign me a quota every day, that, okay, this is what you can study and look into. And then the next day, like, before the actual office started for us, then I used to come early, and he actually took pain and used to come early. That is the best thing. And then we had this discussion of 2 hours, what I studied yesterday. So mentor are very important, because obviously you will be having your learnings, but someone who has been there, you know you can actually learn from experience. So it's I'm not sure the proverb, but it's like, either make your own mistakes and learn them, or you learn from the other mistake. Please prefer the other way. That's much better. Don't go with the first step. Okay. So maybe I have learned something, and I might have faced the same problem. So if you can come and ask me, that's much better, rather than wasting your 5 to 7 hours into the same problem. So it's more on that line.
That makes complete sense. And we have one question from one of our viewers. Dilip Rathore wants to know which dev tools are important to learn. Any
Okay.
suggestions? Sorry.
So okay, I'm sharing my screen. I will show you. So uh, if you just, this is a Google Chrome. So on that, if you just do
Just
press,
have you shared your screen?
is it not visible? Okay, okay, just give me a second. I think now it might be visible, right? So what I did, these are the Chrome developer tools. Every browser has its own developer tools. So now if you see, you can you get it by using pressing F and F12, or you can also do a click. And I hope, I'm not sure, like, you can do a click, and from here also you can do a page web source and it will show you everything. So so you can open your web browser DevTools from here. Then the element, so the element actually will show you the DOM. So this is the DOM that I have. Then this is a style, the CSS part. From here you can see the computer styles that are applied. Then the console is for you, just it's a simple, normal, where you can just do some JavaScript and get it done. The sources is the files and the everything. And this is very cool, like you can actually load something from a file system and just edit over there. So it's now these dev tools are so powerful that you can use them as your IDE also. Then we have network, where you see these are the network requests that I've made, and I click, I get the header, preview, response, and everything. Then the performance thing is like for your performance testing your web applications. Then we have other, this is a lighthouse tool which also helps you with a performance testing your application. So these are the basically that you should know. And then if you want to explore something, you can go over here, you see more tools. So I use rendering very frequent. So what rendering shows you, so it will show you like whenever like when something is being painted to DOM again and again. So it's more about a performance optimization. So I use layout shift and these two very frequently. So this, if you see this green, if I'm scrolling, you see this green, so it's like the DOM is getting painted again. So it shows the flashes like when the paint is getting repainted, when your whole render tree is now getting painted onto DOM. So these are the tools that you should be aware of. So like the console, at least element, like how you can debug this element, like okay, if I need to change some sort of a style over here, the color currently is black, what if I need to change it to some other, just for example, if I want to just give it a color red, so like okay, it's currently not, so you should know like where you should be applying all those. So these are the tools that you should be well aware of. I think that answered your question.
Absolutely, it did. Thank you for answering that, and I hope that Dilip's question was answered. My last question to you, Kratika, is: there are a lot of kids out there who are watching our live today, and also otherwise, who might watch this video in future. What is that one advice you would give to them? Who are trying to establish their tech careers. They're trying really hard to set up a podium for themselves. What would you give?
Okay, so like I have few pieces of advice that I always, first of all, remove that fear. It is not a rocket science, trust me guys, it's not rocket science, it's just as valuable as some other work that other people are doing. It's so it's not a rocket science. I know, like today we have this hype of hype that is getting wrapped around all this software industry. No, it's, don't go with that hype and those flashy things that you see on some social media. Get out of that fear, practice, read and practice. So it's more about on the lines of that you should also know the concepts. Just don't you, like I have seen people that that don't know the concept and they just do hacks, read something from Stack Overflow and just copy and paste and let and see if that things happens. So don't be that kid. No, always have this very understanding that if you're doing some coding, so why are you doing that. So always have this thing that if I'm doing something, why, you should always have the answer to that very question. If you're starting so like as a front end developer you want to start, okay, problem solving is very must, I would say. Like get the hold of very basic data structure. Array is very basic. Get to know array, how can you use array, manipulate array. So just get, for you I'm telling, I'm not even going to graphs, just array. Get good hold of arrays, and if possible, it's okay if you get good hold of trees also. So if you're able to manage, so in our most cases with respect to front end, we are mostly dealing with arrays and objects. So you should have a very good understanding how to use these two data structures, and like these are the foundation. I'm not even asking you to go to advanced level. So try to solve problems my approach is always, when I see the problem, I write it on my notebook and then I solve it, and then finally I code it. So follow this approach. Take it as a puzzle solving that we used to do in our childhood. You see that on the comic book we used to get a puzzle and then we used to solve it. Take the problem in that sense. So don't let that fear that okay, this might be difficult. What if it is difficult? It might take 2 or 3 attempts, but always just make sure that you are giving that attempt and you are not quitting in between. So do not quit attitude is very so if you are starting, please, so the quitting thing should actually stop and you should actually look forward. And other thing that would be, don't run after too many resources. Don't run after okay, I should study this, okay, itne sare YouTube channels se sabka pad liya. No, never do that. Just take hold of a single resource, and that a valid resource, please, and just read through it. Because if you're learning concept, the concept will always remain same. उसे कोई, like, whoever teaches you, the concept will always remain same. So always stick to a single valid resource. Because I have seen people like they struggle with so many resources that ultimately it for every plan falls to the crack, because you are not even able to study a single topic. For single topic, if you are wasting your 3 to 4 days, like now this, then the whole web developer plan will actually take an year to complete. Learn the concept from a single valid resource, and I've told you the resource, MDN, nothing else.
Awesome. It was super amazing talking to you, and this talk has been extremely insightful.
Thanks, Gopi. Like I felt the same. I
Yes,
hope the viewers actually got their understandings, their takeaways from this.
definitely, definitely. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Gopi. Take care. Bye bye.